Hi children, welcome to ICT Learning. So this is the third video done for grade 10, chapter 5, operating systems. So if you haven't watched my previous videos, there are separate playlists from grade 6 onwards for the textbook and the workbooks. And this is for the grade 10 playlist, right? So I have done all 5 chapters and this is the last video of the chapter 5. So there are about 2 chapter videos, like part 1 and part 2 for this chapter. And this is the last part of it, right? So in the earlier videos, I have discussed about basically basic operating system, what it is and what are the functions it is doing, those kind of things. So better to watch them before you start here. So in this particular video, I'm going to talk about basically the last part of the chapter, which talks about utility programs, right? So these all the things were discussed in the previous video. So we are starting from here uh, in this video, right? The utility programs. So we learned like there are different kind of system softwares, right? Softwares can be classified into system softwares and application softwares. So basically application softwares are softwares which are installed mainly because of the user requirements, like for example, web browsers, video games, word processors, presentation softwares, those kind of things we consider as application software. But when it comes to system software, we have mainly 3 things: operating systems, utility software, and uh, language translators, right? So under utility programs, right? So these are mainly for the computer, right? So application software is mainly for the user requirements, but utility programs are basically performing for the functioning of the computer itself, right? So there are so many utility programs we can discuss. So I will quickly go through these things, right? For example, backup software. So what do you mean by backup? So when you work in some applications, we need to take backups, because if you lost your data, right? Data may be very important and very sensitive. So we have to always take a backup. So personally in your computer, what you can do is you can take a backup in your portable hard disk or a CD like that. But when it comes to enterprise level applications, we may need to take backups maybe every hour, every 5 minutes maybe, based on your sensitivity of your data and all. So sometimes these backups, the enterprise level backups, may be taken into different physical region as well. For example, if the company is in India, we may keep the backups in US, something like that. Next thing is disk scanners. So usually we are scanning our disk to check whether there are any errors in our hard disks and all. This fragmentation, I will talk this in after some time. What do you mean by data compression? So, yeah, when, especially when you are transmitting data across the networks, we have to compress data, because when the file size is too large, we can make a compression. You may have seen zip files, right? Zip files means you are compressing your larger files into smaller ones, right? So that is also can be done with different utility programs. Task Manager. So I hope you have seen Task Manager. You can right click here, and in the Task Manager, you can see what are the basic running applications, what are the running processors and programs of your computer. So can you see there are so many processors are running, and it shows how much CPU, memory, those things are used. So from here, you can right click and end the task. Right? So sometimes when your machine is kind of frozen, you can go to here and end some task, because at most of the time when your computer is frozen, the CPU memory, those are like a red color, in red color with 90s and 80s figures, right? So at that time you can end this task, right? So that is about task manager. Then system diagnosis tool, it's like a human diagnosis for diseases. System also have diagnosis tools to monitor errors, right? And identify problems. Antivirus software. So we have talked about malware, right? So to protect the computer by malware, we may need separate antivirus softwares. Clipboard. Clipboard means it's a temporary storage of your data, especially when you do cut copy, something like that. Now, for example, being I highlight this and copy this, copy text. So when I copy this, it goes to the clipboard. So when I open up a notepad and when I again paste it, right? Let me show you my other window. So here when I paste it, the value I copied is here. So can you understand now? This is a PDF file from the PDF to the notepad. So how it was copied, because these are two applications, right? But we copied to the clipboard, which is a common platform to store this information. So you copy the data from the PDF file to the clipboard and then from the clipboard to the notepad. So that is how usually copy paste stuff happens in the computer. Next thing is data synchronization software. Like it's a kind of a syncing. Syncing means like from source and a target, you have two places of data storage. Sometimes you may have to sync the data, right? Or same thing should be in both places. So there are different softwares for those. Disk partitioning also I will talk about later, right? Then comes the screensavers. Now, hope a lot of people have seen a screensavers. Nowadays, it's kind of for like kind of for fun and some kind of a, when you have the lock screen, you can have it. But in earlier days, we have a real need for the screensaver, because in earlier days we have used CRT or like CRT monitors. So in CRT monitors, if the images are stayed for a long time, what happens is they are kind of literally burning those pictures into the glass, right? So it's like you can see the Windows Start menu kind of a ghosted in your screen for the like even it is you are not in that menu itself, right? So that is why if the screen is like for a longer time, if you have the same screen, those days people have introduced something called screensavers. So what happens is it will come up with a some moving images or patterns or something like that when the computer is kind of idle. But nowadays, we are not anyway using CRT monitors. We have LEDs and all. So now we don't have kind of a like physical requirement like that to avoid the burning. But nowadays, we use it for kind of fun and to lock screen like that. Okay. Next thing is system profilers. So here, this is basically to identify different profiles or different lot of detailed information about what is the softwares, hardwares you have used, kind of to get the profile informations. Network utilities are there to identify the computer network, whether connectivity is strong, what are the settings, how the logs means you are checking what happened, what are the activities done through your network. So like those things we need network utilities, right? So as I earlier told, I'm talking these three areas separately. So first thing is disk partition, right? So usually in a computer, you have only one physical drive, but we usually divide it into logical partitions like C drive, D drive, like that, multiple logical drives. So it is very easy for us to do the management, right? So this is called basically disk partitioning, right? Uh, So this partitioning means is the process of dividing the physical hard disk into separate logical sections called partitions, right? So each partitions behave like a independent disk, right? But there's only one physical space, but we are logically doing these partitions. So why we need these partitions is, like for example, we can have like for one partition is used to operating system, one for the data, one for the recovery, like that. So it's basically easy to organize your data, right? So normally when you get a new hard disk, you have to do the partition, right? When you install the operating system, you are basically need to do the kind of partitioning also, right? Um, so when you do the partitioning, before that, usually data formatting happens. I will talk about what is formatting. So after formatting, only partitioning is done. So when you format the things, usually the data will be erased, deleted. So it is important you keep your backup of your data before doing partitioning and formatting, right? So this is the new drive. Then you partition this, like to C drive, D drive, like that. So why we need to partition, right? There are three reasons given. This is mainly one thing is to organize your data, right? So if you have different drives, it's easy to manage. So you can have softwares in one partition, your OS in one partition, data in another part, like usually your personal data in the D drive. So like that, it's easy to manage your data. Second thing is sometimes if you want to have more than one operating system, yes, we can have multiple operating systems for your computer like Ubuntu and Windows like that. Then you have to have multiple partitions. Third thing is sometimes operating system itself may be a mandatory to having a requirement of having a separate partition for the operating system, right? So in the Windows environment, you can see the C drive and the D drive, those stuff. And when you connect other multimedia devices like a CD, DVD, or a portable hard disk or pen drive, something like that, you can see letters after C, like maybe F drive, G drive, like that you can see. So if you go to this PC, you can see now in this one, I have only one partition here as C drive. So you can have C drive, D drive like that. You can have multiple partitions in your computer, right? But in Linux, they have a separate concept. In Linux, we don't have these drives like C drives and D drives. Instead, what happens is in Linux, they keep all this information in a directory structure, right? So, for example, you have like your USB will be shown like media slash USB, something like that. So, they have a unified directory tree rather than keeping the drivers like this, keep it drives. So it is very easy for the management, right? More flexible and all, right? So in Linux environments, all the partitions will be identified as individual folders. So there are no any C drives, D drives like concept in Linux environments, right? Next come the disk formattings. So as I told you earlier, after the partitioning, usually you have to do the formattings, right? So formatting is basically you prepare your data storage in order to use it, right? By creating a file system on it, right? So you partition, then you format. So formatting prepares a kind of a partition to store files by creating a file system. Like we talked about different file systems, this NTFS, FAT32, like that. So it is like setting up kind of rules and structures, like how the files will be stored, named, organized. So those things will be done in the disk formatting stage. So when you're doing the formatting, I earlier also told the data will get erased, right? In that particular partition. So you have to take a backup, right? Um, This is done using a file format in the operating system. So based on the operating system, there will be different kind of file types, right? So similarly, we can format USB like pen drives, but pen drives are actually pre-formatted. But sometimes when it is freezing or something, it's when it's not working, pen drives, you can right click and just format those things. But when you format, the data will be deleted in that particular device as well, right? Uh, So usually, before installing an operating system, you have to do the partitioning and then you have to do the formatting. So this is how it will be looking. So this is before partitioning, then you partition it to C drives and D drives, then you do the formatting, right? Next concept we are talking is defragmentation, right? So in Windows, we can see something called defragment. What happens is, now when you have a file, usually those, if it's a large file, it won't be saved in a single track. It will be stored, like the single file will be broken into different pieces, and it will be stored like this here and there, right? So that is what we call defragmentation. So at the same time, when the file is saved and when you do multiple edits, when you change the file, what happens is the file size will be growing, right? So then what happens is you anyway cannot keep all the information in the same place, but it will be like empty spaces here and there will be used um, for the new file edits, right? Then what happens when these files get deleted, you will get different empty spaces. Now think, now you have a file like this and you delete it, so these spaces will get free, places will become empty. So if you have defragmented files, lot of files, like if it is defragmented in lot of places, it will be affecting the efficiency of the computer, right? To read the file, to save the file, it will take time. So sometimes you can see kind of a slowness in your machine because of this fragmentations happening, right? So defragmentation is, right, the fragmentation is what you call here, the items are fragmented here and there, right? And defragmentation means it's the process of rearranging all this defragmented data into like this. Now, see, this is before defragmentation with the fragmented data here and there. And in this one, data is defragmented, right? So this is more efficient. But nowadays, especially Windows and all these things, you don't have to manually do it, kind of, because it will be like automatically will happen, right? And in Linux, they have a different method of storing files. Actually, what happened is in Linux, it is basically not needed to have this defragmentation utility in Linux, because in Linux the files will be saved in the same location as a single file, but it has some more space allocated. So if the file get more edits, still we can have it in the same place, right? Because it will relocate to a new place if the file size is exceeding the allocated memory space. So there is no need of defragmentation utility in the Linux environments, right? Um, so no need of doing manual defragmentation anyway in Linux system, because in Linux on like the files are layout happening in the more intelligent way, and the relocating files when needed, those things are anyway visible anyway available in the Linux environment. So even in Windows nowadays, there is not much need of manual defragmentations, because from 2005 onwards, Windows is actually doing this automatically as well, right? Okay. Then comes the introduction to file systems. So computers are handling a lot of large volume of data, right? So it's very important. We need to quickly retrieve the files we saved and do different modifications, those kind of things, right? So in a file, now you can have a file name and a file extension, right? So file name, you can put whatever the name you want to keep. But file extension actually shows what this particular file is, what is the application for this particular file is. So sometimes these file extensions are hidden, right? So you cannot see the file extension sometimes in your computer. So then in now this the book is telling actually the older way of unticking and showing the extensions, but latest Windows versions, what happens is it's like this. Here in view section, you can have something like file name extension. So if you untick, you cannot see the extensions, but if you tick it, see, you can see the extension. So Pascal is the name of the file. TXT tells, okay, this is a text file. So here, JPG shows the extension, file extension, and it shows it's an image file. So MP3, it's audio file. So this is also having file extension. Here, file is actually Acrobat, so it has .pdf file extension, right? So that is how you can view the file extensions. In earlier operating systems, Windows, we have something like this, but now it's different. So here they have explained that file extension and the file name, right? So with the dot, full stop, it separates these two things. So based on the file extension, we can identify, okay, what is the file type? So if you have .exe, it's executable file. If it's docs, it's a Word, especially Microsoft Word file. XLSX, so it shows Microsoft Excel file. PPTX, it's a Microsoft PowerPoint file. TXT, it's a text file. MP3, it's a audio file. MP4, it's audio file. .jpg, .png, .jpeg, right? So those are image files, right? So like that, based on the file extension, you can tell what is the particular file type. So not only that, when you save a file, you have to give the file name and the location. And you can see under the properties. Last day also I showed you. If you go to a file and if you see the file properties, you can see, okay, what's the name of the file, what's the type of the software you need to open in that one, right? What is the location? What is the size of the file, when it was created, when it was modified. So those kind of information you can see under the properties from the menu list, right? Like this. See, also the same thing I have explained you. So when you're selecting a file to save, right, so you can save it in one of your drives. So I have told you in Windows, we have C drive, D drive like that. And if you have other like external devices also connecting, like your DVD or CD or portable hard disk, or some, those also having different drives, right? Like E drive, F drive, G drive, like that. So like this. See, you have C drive, D drive, E drive, and when you connect a see here you have connected a DVD and a portable hard disk or maybe a pen drive or something. So it is also shown in different drives. See, C drive, D drive, and here it's K and F and G. Okay. So usually, when you store something, it's the practice is you create a folder. You just don't copy that into some place. You just create a folder. It's easy to create a folder like this. Right click, new, and create a folder and give a name for that folder. For example, grade 10. Right? So this is my folder. Okay. So select the, so same thing, file menu, and you can, with the new option, you can create a folder and you can give a name. So from the file, you can copy paste. So copy paste you can do, Control C will copy and Control V will paste it, right? Similarly, cut paste also you can do. Control X will cut the things and paste it when you type Control V. So let me show you small thing. So here, let me copy this. So I can control C, that shortcut key, or you can use the menu, right click and use the menu as well. So you copy here, you go to this one and you paste it. See, you got a copy here. This copy is there. From that, you got a copy to this place. Right? It's a duplicating. Copy paste means you're duplicating. But when I delete this, right, and if I go back, now in this one, there's nothing, right? So when I go back, I right click and I do cut. And here I will do paste. Now the original one is gone to here. So it's actually changing the location of the file, right? So that is what it's mentioned here. Copy paste and cut paste, and you can rename your files or folders also. It's very easy. Can go there, you can right click and rename as, we'll go for grade 11 like this. So you can rename the files as well. And you can delete the files or folders as well. So for example, you can go here. I will get this otherwise I will miss it. So let me delete. I can right click and delete, right? As well, right? So here I didn't get a confirmation, but sometimes you get a confirmation. Like this. So shall I move it to the recycle bin? So recycle bin is a place where the data is kept kind of temporary, right? So if we go back to the recycle bin, can you see the deleted file? See here, I have the deleted file here. So from here, I can right click and restore. What happens is it comes to this place again. So if I delete here again, it will, in my machine, I am not getting the confirmation, but usually we have to get the confirmation whether it will be moved to the recycle bin. And if you go to the recycle bin, we can see. So from here also, if I delete, it is asking, this will be permanently deleted. So you cannot get it back because in the recycle bin, it will be stored temporarily. And if you delete it from here, it's gone. Okay. So that is what it's mentioned here. When you delete it, it will be stored in recycle bin temporary, but from there you can restore, right? And if you delete from that place also, that file will be gone. So usually, if you delete from a pen drive or something like that, it will be gone. It is not going to the recycle bin. It's deleted permanently. Usually, it will ask with the message clearly what is happening, right? So that is the end of the chapter 5. Hope you have learned a lot, especially about the operating system and everything. So yeah, so thank you for listening. So if you haven't still subscribed my channel, please do subscribe and add your comments, add your feedbacks, because those are very important for me. So thank you very much.